Okay, and this is being recorded, so tell all your friends who missed it to watch. We'll make sure that you get the location for the recording. I'm Gena Gesing with NICC. Thanks for joining us today. I love Halloween, so we're going to have a little theme here. As you can see, our speaker, Jackie Langreck, has some skulls and some skeletons and stuff going on there as well. But Jackie is going to talk about being an athletic trainer and that career. She is currently faculty with NICC, and she is also a nurse. So she has a wealth of healthcare information she could share with you. So if you have questions for her, whether if it's related to athletic training or not, please let us know in the chat, and we will try to get those addressed at the end of our little chat here. So we're going to let Jackie just kind of introduce herself, her various jobs, her education, and then I'm going to start asking her some questions.
All right, thank you, Gena. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And like Gena says, my name's Jackie Langreck, and I am originally from Northeast Iowa, and I am currently a science instructor here on the Kelmer campus at NICC. And I'm joining you today with a bunch of my friends that join me every day when I'm here on campus. So it's a lot of fun. I've got a lot of fun friends here. And with how I became a science instructor is when I'm going to mainly talk to you about being an athletic trainer today. So to give you the background with that, I started off my educational career going to Luther College. And then when I graduated, I attended graduate school in Arizona to get a master's degree in what's called sports healthcare. And then with being an athletic trainer, once you complete your education and your hours, then you need to sit for a national certification exam. And so then I took the national certification exam. And then depending on what state you reside in, most states will also have you apply for what's called a licensure. So you are what we call a licensed and certified athletic trainer. And when you get a license, this just means that the state recognizes your education and your qualifications, and they basically are giving you their approval to work as an athletic trainer. So that's where, that's my background with athletic training.
Perfect. Thanks, Jackie. And you will see if you want to research more about athletic training after our brief conversation with Jackie today, there's also a link in the chat that she has provided to us where you can read more. So make sure to check that out. So our first question today is going to be to describe the working environment for being an athletic trainer.
Well, that's a great question because your environment, well, depends on the type of athletic training job you have. There's multiple different avenues in which an athletic trainer can work. Maybe some of you have an athletic trainer that comes to your schools. A lot of schools, especially Northeast Iowa, will maybe use an athletic trainer from a local hospital or clinic, and they'll do outreach, or they'll come to maybe your school 2 or 3 times a week, and then be at games, and they may also then be attending other schools. So when I was working as an athletic trainer, I was working at one time between 5 different schools and then trying to attend different events. And with that type of environment, it was ever changing because I was employed at the time through the hospital and then also through a physical therapy clinic. And so I would work in a hospital clinic or in a hospital setting, helping in the physical therapy department, or I'd be in a physical therapy clinic helping the physical therapist like an assistant. And then in the, I would also go sometimes early in the morning before I go to the clinic or after school. Then you would be like in the high school environment. And so then I would work through the athletic training room at the high school. And then I would, my other working environment would be, for example, on the football field or in the gym for basketball or wrestling, on the track. It just depended on what event I was needed for. So my work environment changed quite a bit. Athletic trainers can also work in other types of things like you wouldn't think of. I'm sure you like college and universities where there's teams, pros, but also areas you may not think of. They're also used in the military. They're used at rodeos. They're used at dancing, gymnastic type events. So wherever there is any possibility of an injury occurring or a sickness or an illness, athletic trainers are employed in those different environments. So there's a multitude of different types of work environments. There's not one standard environment.
Excellent. Great information about that. and all the different opportunities for environments you could work in.
Right.
So tell us what you liked about being an athletic trainer.
Well, my initial reasoning to become an athletic trainer was because I loved sports and I loved the idea of the medical field, like working. I'm fascinated like with injuries. I don't want injuries to happen, but when they happen, they're fascinating to learn by. And so what motivated me was I always thought I could get a front row seat at sports events and for free, right? But that's far as from the truth. I was there, but you're busy all the time. You're really not watching you're watching the game, but you're watching, like I'm on a football field to this day, I'm still watching the ankles and knees and watching how players are landing on top of each other. You're not seeing the game as a whole, but you're watching for injuries. And so it's a fascinating type of occupation because you're looking as on the whole for the athlete, you're looking out for their well-being. And then once something does happen, then you need to attend to that individual. And so you may not see the rest of the event. No, but so that's okay. That's what you were there for. And so what motivated me was to be able to be an individual that could help someone. The whole goal of an athletic trainer is to prevent an injury from happening. So we work with like stretching and workout regimens, like lifting weights to get athletes strong. And then when they are playing, if they do get injured, then our focus shifts on getting them better again. And so I like the idea of being able to take someone that needed my help and to be able to assist them to get them back on the court or back on the field again. So the whole idea of just being in that type of atmosphere, in that setting, and being able to help someone attain their goals, like to continue playing football or continue playing basketball or returning to a work site. If it's not an athlete, it could be someone else. So the satisfaction of helping someone become well again or preventing them from getting an injury.
Excellent. Sounds like there's a lot of reward involved with
there is.
career.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's probably fast paced and you really have to react and think fast when those injuries do occur.
Yep, that's one thing. You have to be able to, it's almost like you're a trauma ER type of situation. You are the one there. You have to decide if someone's not breathing, if someone has possibly a broken bone, or if someone has maybe torn a ligament. You have to know you have to decide right then and there what you are going to do to help that athlete. Unless some situations, some schools might have a doctor on the sidelines, which would be great. I never had that, which it's a great backup to have. But as a trainer, you have to be quick thinking and you have to decide right now what needs to be done. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't forget, put your questions in the chat, please. We're looking forward to seeing what you want to know more about that we haven't covered already. But I'm going to go ahead and ask Jackie if there were things she did not like about being an athletic trainer.
Well, the only thing, I love doing it. It was especially great when I was young, right out of college. I didn't have children or a family. And so that was great. But as I got older, the only downfall I had was all of the long, late hours. And then again, that just depends on your setting and where you're working. You don't necessarily have to have those hours. But in Northeast Iowa, I was working in that hospital clinic setting and then at the high schools at night. So of course I had, all the events at night and weekends, and I had 2 little kids at the time. And so, and my husband's gone during the week for his work. So I was by myself taking care of kids, picking them up at 10 o'clock at night. So that is why basically I'm just out of it for right now. I may return to it eventually, but just for those hours, that was the only part I disliked. And with raising a family and being a female athletic trainer, I just had to take a step back for the moment and hope to return again someday.
It's nice to know you can't always go back.
Right. As long as you keep up your certification.
Okay.
Yep. So once you're certified, you will have to complete CEUs, continuing education units. And as of right now, we have to get 50 hours every 2 years. And as long as you keep that up and your CPR, you can maintain being a certified trainer. But if you let that lapse, then you won't be able to practice anymore.
Okay, that goes with my next question, which was going to be what education or training you need, and you kind of cover that. So you need the master's degree.
Yep.
In what is it called, athletic training? Or
well, right now it's changed a little bit since I went through the school, but right now to be an athletic trainer, you have to attend an accredited program for this now. Before, like Luther College, that was not accredited, but we could go through the program, take the classes, do the hours, and still become an athletic trainer. But now that has changed since I've been out of school just a few years, and it's changed since then. And now you have to attend a college that specializes in athletic training, and you can get your bachelor's degree. But within the next few years, they haven't set it's definite time, but you will eventually have to get a master's in order to sit for the exam. So they're switching it over to a master's program. Those that are in it right now, they're okay. They're going to be grandfathered through and don't have to have a master's. But by the time, if you're in middle school or younger, by the time if you come to this profession, you will have to have a master's degree, and it will have to come from a program that's been approved for athletic training. So I'm not quite sure. In the past, there could be various programs like exercise physiology, sports healthcare. There was multiple different names, but now I think, I'm not even, to tell you the truth, I'm not for sure. I think it's just you go through that program, and it's just athletic training. And since it's accredited, it's standard across all the schools that have that program. They have to follow the exact same protocol.
Okay. That's really interesting. So the students watching today, if they decide, yeah, this is a career that I would be interested in, they should plan on 6 years of post-secondary education.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, and if you're curious of what type of schools, you go to the link in the chat. That is our governing board. It's called National Athletic Trainers Association. And so that link will take you to their website, and they've got multiple links for all types of information about becoming an athletic training and what schools are accredited, and to give you background and more information.
And just a good message for students is that you're always going to be learning. So like Jackie said, she has to take those classes to keep up that accreditation, and that's common in a lot of different professions.
Right. Anything you're certified or licensed for, you will need CUs or continuing ed for. Yep.
Okay, so this is a big one. We hear from employers a lot that entry-level employees and students are lacking. The question is, in the workplace, soft skills of how we interact and get along with others. A few examples of soft skills are working well in teams, getting tasks done on time, showing up to work on time, and communication skills. So what are some important soft skills that you need to be successful as an athletic trainer?
That last one you mentioned is probably one of the biggest soft skills you'll need, is being able to communicate clearly. Because when you are working as an athletic trainer, you're not only working with the patient or the athlete, but you have to be able to communicate well with them so they understand what you want and what's expected of them. But then you're also going to be communicating with parents. If you're in a school system, you're communicating with parents, the school nurse, the coach. You will be communicating on a college level, again, coaches. Then you may also be communicating with doctors and physicians. And to go on top of that, is to get tasks done on time. To tie in with that soft skill is to make sure you complete all your paperwork. Back in the day, it was paperwork. Now I'm sure it's all computerized, electronic recording, but you had to make sure you recorded everything you did with that athlete. Like if I had one that was injured, I had to make sure that I wrote up my evaluation and my note, so that note could then be given to parents, to the doctor, and then so the doctor understands. So you have to write it just as if that doctor was there, so they can so they understand exactly what you did, what happened, so you can be able to communicate. So you have to communicate with multiple different individuals for that well-being of that athlete. So you have to be able to communicate, and you have to be timely, and you have to make sure that you are getting the information across that needs to be done. So if not, then that could just end up causing issues for that athlete in the long run. So like, for example, a lot of you are familiar with concussions. And if an athlete has a concussion, there's a huge protocol or a format you have to go through in order for that athlete to return again. And if something doesn't get communicated correctly, then that athlete may not be able to get back as they want to. And then maybe it's like a state playoff game or something. It's something very important. And then that could cause problems down the road. So you have to make sure you're timely, make sure you communicate clearly. Another thing is working in teams, as you mentioned. That's another soft skill. You are, as an individual, working, but you also be working in teams. And again, with those multiple people that I mentioned, they're all involved in that healthcare and well-being of that athlete or that patient. So you all have to work together in order for the best outcome for that individual.
Fantastic. You know, one thing that's not on my list of questions that I thought about is what classes should students be taking now or in high school if they're really interested in athletic training?
That's a great question. So some classes you can get under your belt to help give you a little bit of background. First of all, would be like you begin probably in your general biology class, but if you could take anatomy and physiology, that would be a huge class because there's a lot to learn about the human body. And so if you could start in high school, just to start to get your foot in the door and start understanding some of the terms and body parts, it'll make life so much easier as you advance into the college level. Some of you might be able to take medical terminology. That is a great class too, because that will help you in understanding anatomy and physiology terms a little bit better. Or some of you may have that ability to maybe take a CNA course. Maybe you don't want to be a CNA, but it's a great course in helping a lot of it in how to care for individuals. And you work a lot like with stretching, range of motion, just basic cares, like if there's possible injury type of things, like you're bandaging, you learn like just basic skills. It's not tied back totally to athletic training, but it'll give you that background. And also, if you have that possibility, like some offer coaching classes. I know I've had kids that have taken coaching classes, and that also has like some injury prevention classes that are involved with it. And if you have those types of classes, maybe some of you might have an injury prevention class, like an extra elective, that'd be very helpful too. But anything with the body and understanding the human body would be great foundation to get started with.
I never would have thought of some of those. Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Any questions from anyone? Stephanie, is Clayton Ridge able to unmute themselves to ask questions if they want?
They are.
We'd love to hear from you. Quiet group on a Friday.
We were, somebody in the group had asked the question, how much money do you make? I guess what I will say is, what can we talk about for a compensation package for an athletic trainer?
That's a great question too. I was just looking online beforehand, trying to see what the latest was. And then again, a lot of it's going to depend on your location, depends on what state you're working in, depends on what type of setting you have. The median salary was around $45,000 is what I'd seen. That did not include like benefits. And so as you get older, you're going to find out benefits is a huge part of your package, like health insurance. Ask any of us, we'll tell you about that. But the median salary is $45,000 is what they were saying for like a Midwest type of salary. If you go to that website too, you can put in like location, states, and like possible different settings too, to, for that information too.
And I will send out that link will be sent out to all the participants in a follow-up email.
Thank you.
It's like the late plan, family time,
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Did she ever?
More questions from Clayton Ridge? We can hear a great discussion happening there. We'd love to know what you're.
They're kind of all working together to try to answer a lot of things, and that we're answering our own questions, I think, a lot in the room. So.
Well, we're glad it could be a conversation starter for you. That's why we're doing this. And if there's nothing else, we hope you'll tune in to our future Fun Fridays from the Field career chats. Any final thoughts or questions? Jackie?
Oh, did I hear something? I say, I'm going to put my email in there too. If you want to ask me questions, I can't type and talk at the same time. If you want to ask me questions too, feel free to email me too. I'll be more than happy, or I can find the information or direct you to the information. But athletic training is a wonderful profession. I really, really enjoy it. Like, and Gena said, it's very rewarding. And it's one that, like I said, I hope to return to someday, but sometimes you just got to step back, raise a family first, and then get back into it. Because, like I said, the only downfall, depending on your situation, is the hours. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. It's like, and you grow as an individual, and you learn something new every day. And that's one of the pluses, is to be able to keep on learning.
Jackie, I do have one final question. How do you get to practice those skills while you're in college earning the degree to be able to do that?
So, and when you are in the schooling for athletic training, you will be doing athletic training hours. So, like, for example, when I was in the college, we had to log in so many hours. When I went through, it was 1,500 hours. Since then, I was trying to find a number this morning. It had been dropped down to 800. Now, possibly, I think it might be 600, but it's a lot different than when I was there. And to get those hours, you would work in the athletic training room. So you would take classes to learn how to tape. Like, as athletic trainers, you probably know them as tape and pre-wrap and Band-Aids, right? But that's part of it. But you would take classes to learn how to do those things. And then when the athletes for the college comes in, you take care of them. So if someone needs their ankles taped before practice, you would tape them. And you would learn how to do treatments like ultrasounds and using what's called an electrical stimulation machine. And those are things to help do treatment. So you are taught those things at the college level, and then you practice that with the athletes. And then as you progress, you get assigned certain sports teams. And so then you might be assigned to the football team. Well, then you go to every practice with the football team. You are at every game with the football team, getting them ready before, after. Then you might be assigned basketball in the winter, but you get logged those hours by hands-on work, like kind of like doing a job experience, type of a thing. You are there doing those hours. You might be sent out to a clinic and help out a physical therapy clinic, or you may then get set out to a high school, but you can't practice by yourself outside of the school limits. You'd have to be under another certified athletic trainer. But to get you that experience and to get hours, you would be assigned someone, possibly depending on your school situation, that would help you with that.
So that helps you be really prepared between the schooling and the practical hours that you have.
Yep, getting that actual hands-on work experience. Yep, and like I said, you get the classes first, they prepare you, and then you will use those skills throughout those hours. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yes.
Unless there's further questions, I think we will sign off, and we hope you will join us for our future Fun Fridays. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, and happy Halloween, everyone. As I said, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.